Action.
Oh, it's a reaction when someone comes on top of your arm. It's pushing, you know, you're holding the handlebars with that arm. If someone's pushing down on it, it's starting to tip you over to the side. So you've got to try and get your arm out from underneath there and keep your balance as best you can. But I don't think there was all that much in it. And the commissaires actually rang, and they said, yeah, O'Grady made the first wrong move, but I said, so he gets moved up to third and I get DQ'd. It's not against Stu. I mean, I've been in plenty of situations where it's been elbow to elbow and I can deal fine with that. That's no problem. But when you've got the commissaires making a decision and what they were basing it on, then I don't agree with it.
67.5 kilometres is the distance for the men and their machines. The 21 teams will race against the clock from the city of Tours to Blois. 2 seconds separates the two American leaders at the top of the overall standings. David Zabriskie over Lance Armstrong. But surely things may change by the end of the day. But what are the tactics required from each rider in the team time trial? Manager of Team Phonak, Jean Lelongue, explains.
Against the wind is to be a really team, so only one rider has to be in the wind. That's the most important thing. So during the time that one rider is taking the relay, normally the 8 other riders have to be totally protected, so they have to rest, and they are coming, of course, is one by one to take a little bit wind. So if the wind is coming in front of you, you are staying good in line. If the wind is coming from the side, then you make light for normal stage, side by side, each rider. Normally 35 seconds, it's enough for one rider to be full speed in the wind. The most important in the length of a relay is that the speed is not decreasing at the end of the relay. So we have a normal speed which has to be the same from the beginning to the end. If the team manager in the car can see that one rider is a little bit tired or is not so useful for the team, we say directly on the heat set, okay, one of the riders is staying at the back of the pack, is missing some relay, so he can rest a little bit, and then after he can enter the relay normally. And in case of a puncture, of a crash, of course each team has some leaders, and we have to wait for all the leaders. If it is not a leader, then we see. If it is in the beginning of the race, we have to wait a rider, because if he's not coming with us for at least 30 or 40 kilometers, it can be difficult for him to join the finish in the time. If it is at the end or in the second part of the race, then we have to keep the team classification as a priority, and then we lost one rider, no problem. So we know that we have to make with 5 riders the finish, because the time of the team is taking on the 5th rider who is crossing the line. But normally during the last 5 kilometers, if it is possible and if we can keep 6 riders together, it's always better, because you never know in a team what can happen in the last curve, on the last kilometer, if there is a puncture. And if we are only with 5 riders, then it can be, of course, a big tragedy for the team. And on the last straight line, they make a sprint to be as fast as possible with the 5th rider.
All eyes at the start was on the preparation of CSC and Discovery Channel, a team time trial that was expected to come to a showdown between these two outfits. The orange colours of the Euskaltel team were first out of the starting ramp. The Basque-based unit set the early standards. Behind it, the challengers. Stuart O'Grady leading by example for Cofidis. Michael Rogers wearing the jersey that represents the reigning World Time Trial champion. Driving hard for Davidamon Lotto was the Australian connection of Cadel Evans and Robbie McEwen. Here's Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwin with the commentary.
Well, Jan Ullrich now, the big start by Jan Ullrich, and they look across at each other. Gotland gets themselves organised very quickly here. It's a good team. Cloden was second in the Tour de France last year. Ullrich was 4th. Oscar Sevilla has been a star of Spanish cycling. Daniel Nardello, a hard man. So too Giuseppe Guerini and Matthias Kessler. The newcomer is Stefan Schreck. His brother Andy's not riding, who's also superb. They're on form. They've got to get it together today. It's important today for them. Looking here at Lance Armstrong as he held up on the start ramp, all 9 riders, the champions not just of the Tour de France but the champions of the team time trial for the past 2 years. waits for the count. 5 minutes behind him comes Dave Zabriskie, another American leading a Danish setup. But right now, Armstrong is on his way, and the only other American on this squad is George Hincapie.
And the only man to accompany Lance Armstrong to every one of his victories in the Tour de France since 1999. It's going to be very strange for George Hincapie when he wakes up on the first day of the Tour de France next year, because there will be no more Lance Armstrong. Armstrong has promised to retire, and he will retire on the 24th of July this year, win or lose the Tour de France.
They are second best still at kilometre 25. They've got the better of Phonak, which is interesting. Discovery Channel yet to arrive at that point, and Team CSC.
Only 2 teams left to arrive at that 25-kilometre point, and I think we're all waiting with interest to see just exactly how Discovery Channel and Team CSC will go through those first points. Concentration here on the face of Jan Ullrich. This man, Phil, is so talented. Eddie Merckx said about this man that he has got probably the biggest engine, as we say in cycling slang, in the peloton. But if he could only be as serious and dedicated as Lance Armstrong, he could have won the Tour de France 6 or 7 times himself.
Yes, it does, and Alex Zülle was in a similar position before that with the great Miguel Indurain. Of course, there's always somebody who seems to be better than everybody else. That's the way it is.
So T-Mobile lining themselves, looking fairly good there, well drilled, but look at those flags there as we look down here at the castle of Amboise Royale, and it's a complete block tailwind for the riders, which is why we're seeing so dramatically fast times. And there we get the time check at the first time check. Discovery Channel going through with the 3rd best time in exactly the same time as T-Mobile, just 9 seconds adrift of Liberty Seguros. So Discovery Channel of Lance Armstrong have started very fast, and they've got themselves a very interesting time at the first time check, but there's still for them 42 kilometers to go to the finish.
The white jersey of Michael Rogers, world time trial champion. They'll just about creep into 3rd or 4th place here as they drive on, as Kevin Hulsman swings off to the right. Big Tom Bonan, he's even going to sprint it out with his teammates as the big man comes through in 1st place again. No points for the green jersey, Tom. Maybe he didn't realise, Paul, but they hit the line, and it'll be the 5th man who will stop the clock. Look at that image of Tom Bonan. 4th place then, 1:13.44.
T-Mobile have lost a rider. This could be important. Tobias Steinhauser of T-Mobile has popped off the back of the squad, and that is because of the pressure now being put on the front by Jan Ullrich and the rest of the team. Liberty Seguros coming up to the line. The time to knock off the top of the leaderboard, 1:12.20 by Crédit Agricole, and they're going to go well inside of that to set a new record speed, but there are still a lot of teams to come. We're waiting for the time of Lance Armstrong's Discovery Channel at the 2nd check, but this is a new best time for Liberty Seguros, 1:11.32, a beating of 48 seconds of Crédit Agricole, and they are moving the bar higher and higher. But look at the face there of Roberto Heras, the little climber who hopes one day to be a challenger for the overall victory at the Tour de France. Discovery Channel now coming up to the 2nd time check. They're looking at the time of T-Mobile, looking over their shoulders, making sure that everybody is still in contact. They're trying to beat the time of T-Mobile here, a time of 47 minutes and 15 seconds. It's going to be very, very close.
It is. They make the right-hand turn here. These 2 teams, amazingly, Paul, are running at virtually the same pedal-for-pedal speed. This is incredible. Look at that, 1.5 seconds, but now Discovery Channel are slipping into top gear. Best time, 47.14. Well, Bjorn Rees has put his reputation on this time trial because, as I said, they brought Luke Roberts on board and they sacrificed Jacob Peel. He wants to win this time trial. They believe they can win it. And is this proof? Because David Zabriskie could be getting ready to celebrate another day in yellow as they come through 47.14 to beat. There's not going to be a lot in it here. They are getting close to Discovery and T-Mobile, but for the moment, they're still 6 seconds in the bank, 47.08.
But Team Discovery have actually halved the gap. At the first time check, they were around about 15 seconds in arrears. At this time check, they were only 6 seconds in arrears. I'm just casting my mind back to what Lance Armstrong said, Phil, before the start of this race. He said this team time trial is going to be decided in the last 10 kilometers. And once again, he seems to be the prophet of doom.
Here comes Jan Ullrich driving the train towards the line. As they head up now, they will be better than Liberty Seguros. Then it's down to the others to match the pace. This is a big demonstration by T-Mobile because they were devastated after the individual time trial, but now they are going to tell us they are back. Alexander Vinokurov is also coming up towards the finishing time now. This is going to be a fantastic time, Paul. Take it in.
Well, they're pulling themselves up to the finish line. Jan Ullrich must have done some massive turns out there in the road, because there you can see Ullrich has switched off. That's Guarini not too far away. Vinokurov is very happy with his time. He's taken up 6th place there, but the time they're looking to beat is the time of Liberty Seguros. It's going to be very close indeed. 1:11.32 is the time to beat, but 1:11.15 is the time of T-Mobile. So T-Mobile, the team of Jan Ullrich, and look at that, a little clip of the hands as they go #1 slot, but there are still 4 more teams to finish, and 2 of those teams have already recorded faster times than T-Mobile out on the course. Discovery Channel and, of course, Team CSC of Dave Zabriskie, the overall leader.